Hello, everybody, and welcome to Backwards Incompatible. I'm your host, Gary, and I'm joined by my two fellow co-hosts. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
My name's Chase.
I'm Zaid.
And we have a guest. Oh, it's my friend, Christian.
Hey guys, I'm his friend, Christian.
They're just friends.
Yes, good friend, good.
Good friend. Jolly good show.
We're all friends here. Pleasure to meet you, Zaid.
Yes, you two, sorry, I don't do names.
But yes, here we are discussing Red Dead Redemption, Undead Nightmare, and we are joined by Garrett's friend, Christian. Christian, tell the lovely people out there a little bit about yourself.
Well, I just graduated high school and I've been getting my life into work and going into the Air Force, which will be coming up this January.
Big things.
Cool. So, what made you want to pick Undead Nightmare for your game of choice for your guest appearance?
It was my first Red Dead Redemption game I ever played, and I played it on a PS3 over at a family friend's house. When I was younger, I didn't know what the game was called, and then now I just got back into it.
What's the name?
Red Dead Undead Nightmare.
Heck yeah, zombies. That's what we're talking about. Halloween's coming up around the corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm glad somebody finally said something, Jesus.
Yes, Garrett, we all have calendars.
Oh, Lord.
So, this is going to be kind of interesting for the three of us because I don't think any of us have actually played the original Red Dead Redemption. Garrett, I know you and I have both played Red Dead Redemption 2, but not the first one.
No, not the first, but I do like to say I did. I did play the epilogue of Red Dead Redemption 2, so technically I did. Huzzah.
Oh, there you go.
Being technically right's the best kind of right.
It is weird seeing John Marston as the main character now.
Right.
But before we get into all that, I do have a Halloween-related icebreaker question for you, Christian, and also for you two guys as well, Zaid and Garrett.
Yeah, don't leave us out.
What are some of your favorite candy for this time of year? Like, what was some of your favorite candy to get while trick-or-treating as a kid, or even now as an adult to just buy for yourself and munch on when no one's looking?
That would be pumpkin Reese's. Those were always my favorite.
Yeah.
I always like full Snicker bars. Those were so good.
Nerds Ropes were always a good choice.
Reese's in general, like peanut butter cups, you can't go wrong with those. Of the three like little bite-sized candies, M&M's, Reese's Pieces, and Skittles, Reese's Pieces have to be the best one in my opinion. Although M&M's...
You can't go wrong with Whoppers either.
No, you gotta go with like the sour Skittles. Sour Skittles are great.
Disagree.
Nah.
I used to really like Skittles when I was a kid, but I don't know, I just don't really have the taste for them anymore.
I just really like sour candy.
What about you, Garrett? What are some of your favorite candies?
So, the big one during when I was a kid was actually candy corn.
Ew.
Look, don't give me that. Don't give me that.
I wouldn't say candy corn is like an S tier candy, but it is a solid high B, low A tier candy.
It's weirdly flavored wax.
Look,
Yeah.
I like getting the wax in my cholesterol levels high, okay?
Wax levels. That's what they do in on blood tests now. You go get tested and they're like, oh, your wax levels are pretty high. You need to cut down on the wax.
You can burn for 2 to 3 hours with how much wax is in there.
Wow.
I will say, though, nothing was better trick-or-treating as a kid than getting, like, the king-size candy bars, like the extra large ones. That's when you know the people that were giving out candy really cared.
Yep, because I got those growing up.
I feel like none of us except him got those.
It wasn't a super common occurrence. It was just when it happened, it was the highlight of your night as a kid.
No, like I did like 1 year because we got tired of like going in the same like neighborhood that we had going every year, so we would end up going to like the richer like neighborhood that's like distance away and getting their candy. And that's like the 1 year that I got it.
It was glorious that year.
It was.
It was like a Christmas miracle.
Oh yes.
You know a candy bar I kind of have developed more of a liking for as I've gotten older? Payday bars.
Oh yeah. grown a lot more of a liking to like Payday and Butterfinger.
I never cared for Butterfinger. I hate how it sticks to your teeth. Like, I just can't do that.
I don't really have that issue.
I feel like a dog when I eat a Payday bar because it always gets stuck to the roof of my mouth.
There was one time I went to a house as a kid trick-or-treating, and they gave us muffins. Like the packaged muffins, like the double chocolate type of muffins, you know, those kind.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. I've never heard of anyone giving out muffins, but there you go.
Sounds like a British thing, if anything.
I remember when I was little, like, there's one person that we were never allowed to, like, eat the candy, or eventually, like, because they kept on doing it, we just never went to their house anymore. But they would just, like, make their own homemade candy and give that out. And because, you know, like, the scares of, like, Halloween candy, it's like, we were not allowed to have it.
I was gonna say, that's kind of a old-fashioned tradition that you don't really see these days. I feel like that hasn't really been a thing since we were kids. Like, when we were all growing up, it was all pretty pre-packaged brand candy.
Yeah.
And because, like, well, you know, the scares, like, poison in the candy or, like,
Razors.
blades or something like that. We weren't allowed to get that candy. Our family was like, no, don't.
I do wonder what the actual statistics of that are. I know, like, there is an actual basis kernel of truth to all those urban legends and stuff, but from what I remember, like, all those stories you hear about, like, needles or poison in the candy, there were one or two real cases of that, but that was back in, like, the 50s and 60s, so I don't know if that actually happens that much, but...
It does. It does happen.
It's very unlikely, though.
It happens. Like in our hometown area, there was, well, it wasn't our hometown, but it was like, I want to say 30 minutes away. There was a kid who bit down, 2 or 3 actually, went to the hospital because they got lacerations from biting down and hitting a blade. I think it happened when I was 10 or 11. And it's just kind of messed up if you think about it. But we're not here to snort crack and put blades in Reese's. We're here to talk about the undead.
So wait, we're not here to smoke crack? Then why did I even come here? Bye, guys.
Sorry, what were we talking about?
This is an intervention.
Anyway, yes, you are quite right, Garrett. Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, released on October 26, 2010 for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, developed by Rockstar San Diego, the original Red Dead Redemption having released a few months earlier in May. So, this is interesting. I don't think we've done anything like this before on the show. We're not talking about an actual full-on game, but rather a standalone DLC expansion to the game. I don't think we've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the DLC expansion to the game also would have led into Red Dead Redemption 2 making a great comeback. But that's just something for another time.
It definitely would, I guess, increase the story of, like, the Aztec. What was the temple of? Was like I know it was inspired by civilizations that were in like Latin America.
Yeah. Jack, in the beginning of the game, he's reading his book on the Aztec Empire, and he refers to them as ancient. Can you really... The Aztec Empire wasn't that long ago, relatively speaking. Like, that was, what, the 1500s when the conquistadors destroyed it? So that'd be like us referring to the pilgrims, like the Salem witch trials, as ancient.
Yeah.
Aztecs were like 200 years ago, and what the Westerns were like maybe 100, or not even 100. Whoa, what am I talking about?
Well, this game is set in 1911. It's not even the 1800s.
Yeah, it'd been like about 100 years ago.
Chase is just trying to defend his age.
Right. I'm just saying, like, the Aztec Empire, you can't... I mean, 300 years ago isn't that ancient. Pedantic, semantics, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and we still think of, like, well, the U.S. as, like, a relatively new country in a lot of aspects because it's been around for, like, what, 300 years now? 200? It's not that long ago in the realm of history.
Right. But anyway, hey look, zombies are at the window.
Oh no, they're gonna eat us! What do we do?
We enter the scene with John Marston, famed gunslinger bounty hunter, having a lovely evening with his wife and son. Aren't they such a loving family?
So sweet.
And then Uncle Zombie shows up and infects his son and wife, and well, guess he has to go find a cure for them.
Mm-hmm.
I love how the entire time through this, he just questions, like, what's wrong with you, man?
Yeah, and it's just like, why are you hitting your mother?
He hogties his son and wife to prevent them from, attacking him or each other. And before he heads out, he's like, Jack, Be good to your mother. Abigail, teach him right from wrong. Anyway.
Stop biting the boy. Have some steak.
Zombies on the bed and the floor, keeping them away. It's just so goofy. He's like trying to discipline them. Like, oh no, bad.
Two
Oh,
dogs in separate cages trying to get along.
yeah.
And then afterwards, just like, hey, take care. Here's some food. I'll be back in a bit. Chill out.
My dad never came back.
I like to think this was all just one crazy night.
I didn't even realize it was all in one night. I thought it was multiple days.
It is.
I don't think it actually is one night because gameplay wise, towns are referred to as they're safe for a few days, but eventually the undead come back. So I guess it takes place over several days, but
Yeah.
That's a whole gameplay versus narrative dissonance that a lot of these things have.
Either way, like, it has a huge comedy feel to it, so I don't think you're supposed to really paint it into the realm of reality in any kind of real way.
I mean, we are literally in the Old West shooting zombies. Like, what else?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know about you guys, but I got a lot of Quentin Tarantino vibes, especially when you go down to Mexico and you enter the crypt where the zombie plague started, I guess. That, to me, felt very similar to From Dusk Till Dawn. Granted, that was vampires, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that from, like, some of his other movies and stuff that he's done. He does tend to do that kind of, like, more older American, Western, Southern kind of, like, cowboy stuff.
There's something about combining a Western with another genre that you don't normally associate it with that I always find just really fun and cool, like cowboys versus zombies. That's fun. There's cowboys versus aliens. There's Westworld, cowboy robots.
Yeah.
It's just an excellent little condiment to put on a genre sandwich.
Like, if it's a Western mixed without anything else, you know it's gonna be a wild time.
Or really, zombie apocalypses in any non-modern contemporary setting. Like, I don't know if you guys ever saw the show Kingdom, the Korean zombie show.
No, I haven't.
We're not weebs.
That show was really cool because it took place in Korea during the, I think, like 16th or 17th century during a zombie apocalypse. So yeah, something about a zombie apocalypse in a non-contemporary setting is just really cool and unorthodox, and I always appreciate it.
Maybe one day we're gonna get like cavemen versus zombies.
I mean, have you seen the show Primal?
Wouldn't Far Cry Primal, like, do that? I feel like Far Cry Primal should have done that if they really wanted to be kind of relevant. But we are talking about some weird and wacky things, but we met a lot of characters along the way of trying to figure out how this zombie started.
Yeah, everyone blames everything in this game. Whoever you talk to, it's the immigrants. No,
It's the government.
It's the Mexicans.
No, it's the capitalist.
It's that guy who discovered that glass eye. Who's kind of weird.
It's the guy who makes the tonic and gin.
It's a snake oil man.
It's Bigfoot because you can hunt Bigfoot in this game. So there's a side quest where you run into some crazy guy in the woods and he's like, I told you damn Bigfoot Sasquatchins were real. So you have to go and kill a whole bunch of Sasquatch in the woods. And the last one you kill, he doesn't even try to run away or fight you. He actually talks to you and he's like, you murdered my entire family, my tribe, all gone. I'm the last one of my kind. Kill me. I can't take the isolation anymore.
My question's why he would plead at the end instead of having like every single one of the Bigfoot be like, hey, this guy's not really thick in the head.
First they came for the other Bigfoot, then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak up.
And that's why we only have one Bigfoot left that's somehow in every single spot of America all at once.
When the last eagle flies over the last crumbling mountain.
A lot of people theorize that Bigfoot was actually a part of the GTA 5 storyline because there's a little thing that references the same Bigfoot, and I'm pretty sure he's the same voice actor too.
Right. Well, I feel like the Bigfoot in this game, it all goes back to GTA San Andreas because there was a really popular urban legend for a long time that you could find Bigfoot in the wilderness in GTA San Andreas, which I think this game is referencing. And then in GTA 5, they reference that as well.
I remember searching for Bigfoot in San Andreas.
You eat babies?
No, we eat berries.
you eat babies.
Babies.
I like how he was so insistent on just these Sasquatches being monsters, but they're so intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate how much of a, I guess, cryptid kitchen sink it has going on, because you can also encounter the chupacabra and you can find a unicorn to tame as well.
Yay, unicorn. You just tame the unicorn, and the only thing you hear is pink, fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows the entire time.
Plays the neon
A
can.
thing I thought would have been good for them to add as a cryptid would have been the Wendigo.
Ooh.
Well, that'd be interesting.
Does Red Dead Redemption 2 reference the Wendigo? I feel like I remember that, or am I misremembering?
They have a mask of it, but I don't think it's a Wendigo mask. I think it's more of just a deer skull that you can wear.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't like the Wendigo more of like a Native American type urban legend thing?
It is, but...
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
started becoming more of an up north thing too with these recent years.
I mean, there is a lot of like overlap with mythical creatures when you go different lores. They tend to be about the same thing, but there's just these very slight differences.
Does that mean they were real at one point? Dun dun dun.
Deer werewolf person type of thing. Not like a werewolf, but like kind of how it is.
Ooh, that's what this game was missing, a werewolf.
Dude, that would have been so cool.
Then you gotta throw in a vampire, because what's always come to with werewolves? Vampires.
And then you gotta add the whole entire Twilight section.
Twilight, the video game.
You show up at Seth's place and he's just got the whole Monster Mash thing going on. Okay, what was the deal with the zombies with Seth? They do not attack him. They seem pretty chill and
They're
behave.
just his friends.
Okay, Seth's secret weapon is he is actually death itself and is just having fun in like watching John Marston just run all throughout the land of the dead.
He's teaching the zombies how to play instruments, how to play cards, and he's just having a party with them.
Death just decided to go on vacation to Earth, and this is what happens.
If I was Seth and it was the end of the world, I would also like to enjoy a nice poker game with a zombie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just eat your glass eye, too.
Ugh.
Maybe not.
He's gonna regret that in a few hours.
I literally thought he was about to off himself right then and there.
I was so sure one of the zombies was just gonna turn and attack him, and John Marston would just walk away.
They actually made it seem like that was gonna happen. Like, when you first meet him with just a Moses playing cards, when Moses drops his cards, they make it seem like he's gonna get bit there when trying to help him.
Seth knows what the zombie's like. And he's like, no, dude, here's your stuff.
No, he's just like that.
Yeah, just put them back in your hands. Let's continue playing. Go fish.
Early on in
But my
Blackwater,
question is why the zombies didn't attack John Marston while he was around him with Seth.
That's because he willed it. He willed the zombies to just stay put.
He's an elder lich. He just has the abilities to control all undead.
I mean, at the very end of the game in the epilogue, he goes to the tomb in Mexico and steals the mask again, starting the whole thing over.
It's a never-ending cycle.
Yep, and then we get a special treat in the epilogue. Marston is the zombie.
Zombie Marston!
Yeah. And I think it's pretty cool. Also, there's like these horses that I found you can actually go find. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, the horses of the apocalypse. You can tame them. It's like something out of a Johnny Cash song.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if you tame all four of them, does that mean that you bring on the apocalypse and end the world?
No, I think if you tame all four of them, that unlocks the unicorn.
No, you can't tame them all because when I tried that, it removes one for the whole entire game. So you're stuck with only one, which I learned the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they did that because, like, the idea of bringing the four horsemen is, like, the idea of the apocalypse.
I like the abilities they grant you. Like, I was able to tame the war horse, and that horse is on fire, and it sets every enemy that touches it on fire, so that's useful.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first horse, but I have to say my favorite horse has to be at least, I think it's Famine, because of the influence it has on the undead.
So what does that do?
If I remember correctly, Famine would basically cause a bunch of oh wait, no, that's Pestilence. Pestilence is the one where it has a bunch of bugs that start to eat away at the zombies and makes them...
That's cool.
Yeah, I know, it's disgusting, but it basically lowers the zombies' defense within the coding and makes it a lot easier to kill, especially if you got like some of those special ones.
Yeah, although I found headshotting the zombies clears them up pretty well. It is very satisfying headshotting the zombies in this game and just seeing their skull just go
Yeah.
I gotta say, the noises and sounds the zombies make, honestly a bit unsettling. They're very distorted wails, and you can kinda tell what they're trying to say.
It's like you're still human.
Yeah, it just makes my skin crawl when the undead are depicted as still having some semblance of their past living selves where they can kinda remember who they were, but not really. It just feels like such a meat puppet thing to me, and ugh.
I wish we saw that more of that in like movies and stuff too, though, because that would be a really cool thing that we just don't see very often. They're pretty much always mindless. And with that like whole understanding what they say, you could really understand with like the specific zombies you'd fight at the end of the hordes whenever going to like the graveyards or whatever.
It kind of reminds me of the Flood. If you remember in Halo 3, you could actually hear them mumble words.
Didn't they also at points like ask you to kill them in Halo?
I'm pretty sure they did, yeah.
Headcrab zombies in Half-Life 2 are like that as well,
Oh,
where
yeah,
the
that's what
sounds they make are just so unnerving.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like with burning, like you remember like how you had to like go burn like old like caskets or whatever
coffins.
in the graveyard. There's one like where one of the zombies pops up. I think it was like Saint James or something like that, and I swear he said like, "I'm having the time of my life," but in that very zombie voice.
It's a dead man's party. Who could ask for more?
It's the fact he just comes back to life and just says, "Say this is the best day of my life. This is great."
It makes me wonder if some of those like graveyard zombies that are the bosses are kind of like commanders within the. Would you say a hive mind? Would it be a hive mind?
I don't know.
That would have to have them all be under like one collective like thought, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the zombies in this game are presented just in the more typical, this is a infestation kind of thing where they're all rabid animals. I don't really think there's any implications of a hive mind going on, but could be.
No, the closest thing maybe if the mask is like the thing that like controls the hive, but I don't really see that really.
Yeah, yes, the JoJo stone mask you find in the ancient temple.
Yes.
What was up with the woman that escorts you in that section? What was her name? I forget how to pronounce her name, but she's...
Ayatado?
Yeah, her. She's an Aztec goddess, and the whole time she's following you down into the tomb, she's going on this philosophical monologue about how the past reflects the future, or the future is instilled because of the past, and you should leave all this stuff undisturbed and all that. And then at the end, after you return the mask, she just disappears, and I'm like, okay.
She's like, all right.
And there's like one time she also like mentions like these are your demons, not mine, and that's why she's not helping in any kind of way.
Right. I just found it kind of odd of like it's all this setup and implication, and then she's just gone and nothing ever comes out of it. I mean, I guess it's up to the player's interpretation and all that, but it's just like I'm gonna head out.
Yeah.
Well, Rockstar usually does that with a lot of their games. Like, I'm pretty sure with some of the Easter eggs in the Bully game. Yeah, they had some Easter eggs where it would, like, always leave some of the people thinking, like, was it really what was going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, GTA games are like that as well. The thing about Rockstar games is that there's always this little, is it maybe magic or was it something more normal, you know? I like that. I like it when stories have this little, it could have been something supernatural or maybe there's a reasonable explanation for it.
Yeah,
Kind of like the time traveler in Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
Or the man in the suit, I forgot his name. The guy who could, like, curse the town.
Trelawney.
In GTA 4, there was the weird part in the Statue of Liberty.
It's just a lot of fun little Easter eggs that...
Yeah.
I think it adds a nice sense of eeriness to Rockstar games where you honestly don't know what's really out there in this big wide world.
Having that extra layer really incentivizes the player to really go out and explore and rewards you for it with some those fun Easter eggs, and sometimes you might get an item from them. It's just cool.
One thing I always like from Easter eggs is when you run into like a interaction with just a character and you just left wondering like, what the fuck was that? Because it'd just be weird or bizarre.
Speaking of traversing the map and exploring, the horses in this game move so fucking fast. Like, they are jet speed horses.
They gave them some jet before they started running.
My horse has 10 horsepower instead of 1.
I'm sorry. That's a horrible but dead joke.
Technically, horsepower, I think, equates to actually human power, because I think a human strength, average strength, is like 1 horsepower.
Then why don't they call it human power?
Because horsepower sounds awesome.
I can't argue with that.
Because they wanted to call their motorcycles horses.
Nay, hey, vroom vroom.
Let's talk about a few of the wacky characters you come across in this world. There's the doctor you meet in Blackwater who gets mauled instantly because he's like, all right, John, you stay here. I'm gonna go over there in that deserted, ominous alleyway and get my stuff back completely unarmed with my defenses lowered. Oh no, a zombie. Who could have seen this coming?
Who would have thought my friend that I was going to go get the bag from would have turned?
I like the guy who left, like, just strutting out from the fort after he took some tonic.
Oh, Mr. West Dickens, the snake oil salesman. This Mr. Monopoly guy.
I like the guy who literally walked out from the fort and was just like, yeah, I'm free now. I took the tonic. Oh, okay. Tracks the zombies.
Just gets mauled to death.
Dickens' reaction to seeing that is just like, huh, interesting.
It's not supposed to do that.
Leave it to the capitalist to capitalize. Even in a biblical apocalypse, he's still trying to make a quick buck.
Yep.
I'm selling hope, Johnson.
Do you remember that girl that you run into like earlier on where she's like afraid because her mother came back to life and killed her dad?
Yeah,
But then it's like, oh, but it's like, this is horrible. But then she's like, but fucking kill Mordecai.
If you see him, burn him as hard as you can.
Burn him.
My dad was a drunk and he always hit me, but he was a good man.
He was a great man. He did all these atrocities. He really, really liked to be around women, even when my mom was like sick. But you know, he was a great man. He didn't do anything bad.
Mother Superior, the nun you meet down in Mexico, she's like, oh, everything was fine until the bishop ate half the choir boys. And I'm just like, and that was before he became a zombie.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I couldn't help but find a bit of a joke there.
Mother Superior, though, badass nun with a shotgun. Gotta respect.
I like her character. She's pretty cool.
I'm a nun with a shotgun.
Her priority are the other nuns and sisters in the church or whatever, and gotta respect her for looking out for her, the people under her care, under her watch. The blunderbuss weapon that Mr. Dickens give you. That gun is so fun to use.
Yeah.
It just explodes everything into little blood puddles.
He looked at me weird.
What is this, 1850?
They use these bad boys around the world for zombie hunting. What are you talking about?
There are no gun laws.
You just load a bunch of zombie guts in this thing and boom, they explode into giblets.
Yay!
One of my favorite interactions was actually in the first town. I think it was Elizabeth. Was it West Elizabeth, the first town? But basically, it was like a couple and their daughter that were stuck on top of this building, and they started like fighting each other. And that was probably the best interaction. And I love John's remark. So, for some context for you, the woman is just telling everybody they're an idiot. That's why you shoot them. Just shoot them. And they like go on about how it was probably the Mexicans that did it.
And then when a zombie actually sneaks up and attacks her, her husband just leaves her to die.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite characters has to be Nastus. If you guys remember him, he's the Indian whose main side quest is like you basically had to help find his family, and you find out that his whole entire family's dead.
Ooh.
Just pretty messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But you do get a good interaction with him because he's also like one of the main characters in the story mode of the game.
Yeah, there is something to be said about this game does somewhat acknowledge the whole actual history of the American imperialism and colonialism at the time. There's a whole section where you disguise yourself as a United States soldier to sneak down into Mexico, and ostensibly they're going down there to help out the Mexican army fend off the zombies, but when you talk to the sergeant or whatever, he's like, no, we're just going down there to steal everything while they're distracted.
Yeah, like they just talk about their mission, but like, also we're gonna steal everything that we can steal down there.
It would not be a complete Western without a train shootout, where you're riding on the train, shooting at the zombies as they run up to you. Classic.
Here's the thing. I was seeing that scene, and I was also like thinking like how cool a game would be just based around like being on a train fighting off zombies, and you stop at like just different like points and upgrade the train, like a little tower defense type game.
I think in one of the Black Ops games, zombie mode, you can ride on a bus indefinitely. Like you just keep getting on the bus and shooting zombies as it rides around.
Transit?
Yeah, Yeah, transit. That's what it was.
I actually
Yeah.
just played it last night.
There was a glitch in like the transit like station where occasionally like buying one of the rifles on the wall, you'd get a ray gun instead.
I don't think that was a glitch. I think that was an actual like 1% chance to get that.
Oh well, I got it very often. It was always done through like doing like a very specific sequence of like buying the right gun first and then going over. I'd get it like about 85% of the time.
Yeah. This game, Undead Nightmare, came out really at the peak of zombies in video games, or really just pop culture in general. I feel like
Zombieland was coming out around that time too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like from around 2008 to 2013, zombies were everywhere. Because, like, even in just video games, you had this game, you had Left 4 Dead, you had Call of Duty Zombies, you had
If
Lollipop
you also
Chainsaw.
think about it, even like 3 years after 2013, didn't we get like we got Dying Light, and that got really popular too.
Mm-hmm.
Plants vs. Zombies.
Oh, I loved Plants vs. Zombies. I played so much of that growing up.
And then in movies, you had Zombieland, TV, you had The Walking Dead. Zombies were just a really hot commodity around this era.
Speaking of cowboys and zombies, does anyone remember that one movie that came out with like I think it was like kind of a medieval western type of thing where it was like this girl and I can't remember the movie, but like it was a really good movie I watched really recently about like how they're trying to stop the virus, and they went into I think the first scene with the zombie, they went into the basement of a mansion. They were all gambling and drinking and having fun. And then one of the zombie hunters found out one of the guys was one. I don't know. I'm just trying to explain the movie a bit.
Yeah, it does not ring a bell for me.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different zombie movie.
Anyway, so the moon is green, that's fun. Just further adds to the spooky but also fun atmosphere of the game. This game is not taking itself seriously at all. Like I said, it feels very Tarantino-esque.
With the time of year and going through it, I felt like it was a perfect game for like doing with the Halloween stuff because it felt very Halloween-esque, just being a goofy Halloween-like thing to do.
Right. I think during development, the developers, they said that they wanted this expansion to kind of feel like actors on a different film set, where if Red Dead Redemption was the main serious drama, this would have been the cast of the movie just having fun on set, you know? I think that's what they kind of related it to or compared it to.
No, okay.
And it kind of feels like that. This is very much like a fun alternate take on an established game, and I kind of want to see this done with other games, you know? Like, what would, now that I think about it, there are kind of other games that do this. What would a non-zombie game be like in a zombie apocalypse? But I feel like zombies are already kind of a common enemy in a lot of games, so it's not really all that different when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, even outside of like apocalypse themes type things, like you go with stuff like Skyrim or a lot of fancy games, you have some kind of magic bringing the dead back to life as zombies.
When I think about it, zombies are just kind of a stock enemy in a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, it's just your basic undead enemy outside. They're like slightly stronger skeletons half the time.
The song that plays when you're rushing to meet the Mexican president, Bad Voodoo by the Creeps, that was a cool, catchy song.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? I got something. Why is everything just randomly on fire?
Because the arsonists of society who were keeping their urges down for so long, they finally have an excuse.
It's probably because of all the oil lamps that were left on and stumbled around because of the zombies.
No, that's something that actually makes sense. But I mean, like in any kind of apocalypse type thing, there is just things on fire for no reason. Like, I get if a building's on fire, like something happened there. Or like you set that on fire to kill all the zombies that were trapped inside. But then you'll just find random things on fire that make no sense for it to be on fire. It's just there.
Like a bush in the Bible.
It's just on fire.
Maybe it's a commentary on how easy society can break down once you remove like a necessary institution or infrastructure, like you remove garbage men and suddenly we're up to our knees in shit. You remove the fire department and everything is combustible. Inflammable does mean flammable, people.
I don't think this is that deep.
Look, some people just want to watch the world burn, and I'm here for it.
Okay, that's fair.
So, do you think the reason Seth stole the mask at the end was so he could bring back all his zombie friends again?
Yes, of course.
I don't think they could be resurrected again. Never mind. No, I was trying to make a bad joke.
He wants Moses. He wants to go back to the card games.
He also wants John because he learned John was dead. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I can invite my buddy John."
He's the one that brought back John.
He's just having a party with all his zombie pals. At the same time, John puts the mask in, they all just drop dead again. Aww.
You know what'd been really cool though is with the second game they came out with the same type of DLC, but it's a continuation.
It would have been better if they did that too, because you know how John Marston comes alive. Not comes alive, but gets reanimated because of the epilogue. You
What
could have
if-
had Jack Marston as him fighting his father, or
That would
him
be
fighting along
interesting.
his father to stop it.
Well, I mean, he grabbed the mask, so it's like that leads for the whole thing to start back over. So like have the second game be about that, and of course, yeah, have like John Marston be an enemy or something.
It would also be pretty awesome if John Marston became like this world's Ghost Rider.
They say on full moon nights, look out at the plains and you'll see the zombie gunslinger atop his flaming skeletal steed, killing the undead. Like, I'd watch that anime.
No, what if it's like whatever horse of the horseman that you grab, that's what horseman he comes back as. That'd be
That would be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Except for it would look a little weird as him coming back as like a unicorn riding zombie.
Yeah, we all know that would be Arthur Morgan.
Exactly. Only Arthur is the one to have this unicorn over in the morning saying, "Look, I have conquered death."
They could have also influenced another system with the epilogue in this game where if you like killed innocent people while you're doing like a thing to save the like if you know how the honor system works over in the Red Dead 2 game, because they also had that in Red Dead 1, but they didn't really inflict it upon the game in the Undead Nightmare DLC.
Maybe the undead cannot be redeemed in this game.
I mean, John Marston really is just a gunslinger from hell.
John just uses the zombie apocalypse as an excuse to kill people he hated. John, you killed the zombie Flanders. He was a zombie?
Right?
I was just murdering people.
I just want to be a rootin' tootin' shootin' cowboy. I don't know what you guys are on about.
Every kill with a blunderbuss, he lets out a little yeet.
He does a little jig whenever he kills a zombie. Yippee-ki-yay! Yahoo!
Woo! Making bacon.
Well, I think we're kind of running out of things to talk about here, but then again, it is a fairly short DLC expansion. That's one of the weird things about this not being a full game. It's just a fun little one-off what-if scenario.
Yeah,
but
it's only like 2 hours. It's not much.
yeah, it's not that long, so shorter episode, but not necessarily a bad thing. I guess we can end things up here with our closing thoughts on it overall. I personally really enjoyed it. As my first foray into the original Red Dead Redemption, it was a bit of a interesting first impression, but I liked it. I honestly didn't find the controls all that bad. Like, I've always heard people, when they compared this game to the second one, how bad the controls have aged, and Red Dead Redemption 2 is definitely much more polished and refined and streamlined and everything. It definitely feels much better, but I didn't have too much of an issue with this game. Yeah, some of the button placement is a bit unintuitive, but other than that...
Can I give you my thoughts on the controls? Because I only played on the Xbox version, and I always had a lot of issues with it.
Yeah, that was the version I played.
I had a lot of the zombies either having disappearing heads, which made it harder for the game, and then I also had this weird glitch where I kind of have auto aim on their head, and I didn't know quite how to fix it.
I believe there was an aim assist in this game. Maybe that option was on. But as for the headless zombies, yeah, that doesn't seem right.
And
Like,
then I
can you-
also had like a thing where it would crash once in a while, or I would lose my, well, you know, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I would lose one of them because I would accidentally take, instead of a tonic, I would take a thing that they gave you, which was called like a war horse file or something like that. And when you click it, it removes your horse. It
So-
was not a good thing.
I had a glitch where I was stuck in limbo. I was running up to meet Seth, and his shack is on a river, right? And you can't swim in this game, so if you fall in too deep of water, you just die. But I jumped off the horse and landed in knee-deep water, and I couldn't move because I guess the game was like, it couldn't tell if I was too deep to die or shallow enough to walk out. So John is just standing there in knee-deep water, and I can't do anything. So I guess in that playthrough, he's stuck in purgatory.
Could you imagine that in real life. Like, someone just walks through some water and just being knee deep, and they're like, I'm not sure what to do now. And just stands there for the rest of eternity.
The human body is 70% water. By walking into knee-deep water, I have increased it to 80%. Oh no, my brains.
I can't move.
But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this. I thought this was just such a fun, absurd, Western zombie little scenario, and I liked it. I really liked the setup for this, and kind of makes me wish other games did something similar, where they just have an expansion or alternate DLC take on this, where it's just taking the story and characters we know, but in a completely different direction.
My thing with the Red Dead Redemption games, I never really got into them. They were never really my cup of tea, but going through this game, I actually really liked it. It seemed like a cool game. It's kind of what I'm into with a lot of stuff. The fun, goofy like moments that the game has, and then
I highly recommend you play Red Dead Redemption 2. That is a masterpiece of a game right there.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get into it.
Boo! Boo! We can't be friends anymore. Boo!
Did it have the right PC setup?
Christian, did you say your thoughts on just a glitchy mess? Is that all you got to say about it?
Besides the glitchy mess, the story was good for its time standard, but it kind of started to become more of like a copy paste of what a lot of zombie games are like, if you know what I mean. Like if you played Dead Island, you would see a lot of the similarities.
Well, there you go. Got some amazing inspiration, I guess. Overall, I would say it's like a nice just run and gun type of game, and I do enjoy those if I just want mindless fun. I especially enjoyed the characters. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess that's that then. That wraps it up for Backwards Incompatible Halloween Edition.
Ooh,
thank you all
spooky.
for listening. And also, thank you, Christian, for joining us tonight. It was really nice having you on.
Yeah, so it was really nice.
I'm glad I was able to be a part of your podcast.
Yeah.
As for you listeners out there, if you'd like to leave us any feedback or get into direct contact with us, you can send us an email at backwardscompatiblepod@gmail.com, or you can leave us a review on your podcast listening platform of choice.
All right. Well, I've been your host, Garrett.
And I've been Zaid.
My name's been Chase, partner.
And I have been your guest for the day.
All right. You take care, y'all, and we'll see you soon.
Zombies.